I graduated college with $83,000 of student loan debt. And I am not alone. The average millennial has about $30,000 of student loan debt, which is crazy. But fast forward 5 years, I've been able to pay $49,000 of my student loans, and I have about $34,000 left. And not only that, I anticipate being debt-free sometime in 2021, which is so crazy. I can't believe it. It's been such a long time coming. If you want to learn more about how I paid my student debt off quickly, definitely check out this video where I talk about how to pay student debt fast. And I'll also leave a link in the description box below. The past 5 years, I have learned so much about student debt repayment, and I've also made so many mistakes. So in today's video, I want to share with you some of my biggest student loan mistakes in the hopes that you're able to learn from them and ultimately not make the same mistakes as me. So my name is Sabrina Rainique, and on this channel, we live a life that we love through personal finance, travel, and lifestyle. So if you like videos like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. And let's get into the video. So the first mistake that I made with my student loans and that I hope that you are able to avoid is not having a student loan repayment plan beforehand. At the tender age of 17, when I was taking out my student loans, I was able to take out literally tens of thousands of dollars in just a few seconds by clicking a button. I don't recall there being any talk of a student loan repayment plan. And honestly, I didn't bring it up either. I think that I just had the idea that, you know, when I graduated college, I was going to be making just so much money that once I had a real job, I'll be able to just pay my student loans without really it being a problem. Definitely a fairy tale. But coming from a household where my parents pretty much supported me 100%, I didn't have a great concept of how much life was going to cost me when I was actually on my own. If I'm really looking back on what I could have done differently, I would have loved to walk through with someone who has done this before and talk about what type of job I thought I was going to get and how much I thought I could make after graduating, what my minimum student loan payments were going to be, and ultimately how much I could realistically put towards my student loans. When I graduated college, I really did not understand how much I owed or what my minimum payments were or how long it was going to take me to repay all of my student loans. I also was still working through my budget and how much I was spending throughout the months with my newfound salary. And because I didn't have that expectation beforehand, I was so shocked with how much I owed and how long it would take me to repay my student loans that I felt kind of stricken with fear and overwhelmed that I didn't pay my student loans for an entire year after graduating because it took me a year to really put a plan in place. So my second mistake is not making payments while I was in school. Now, this is one of my biggest regrets when it comes to my student loans. When I was in school, I worked all throughout school. So I worked in retail, I had internships, I had work study. So I did have some type of income. How much went towards my student loans? Nothing. Nothing at all. Again, I thought I was just gonna be rolling in money, so I put the little money that I'm making now towards my student loans when I was just gonna be making all this money once I graduated. Now, the real thing here is that I had sub and unsubsidized loans, and this is where the regret really starts to seep in. With subsidized loans, the interest that is accruing on your student loans while you are in school is being paid off on your behalf, so essentially, you're not accruing any interest on your student loans while you're in school. With unsubsidized loans, there is interest accruing on your student loan payments as soon as you take them out. So for my subsidized loans, I really feel like it would have made a big difference if I could have tackled my student loan principal while there was no interest accruing on those loans. What's even more eye-opening is the fact that when I took out my unsubsidized loans, that interest was accruing my entire time in college. Now, I wasn't obligated to pay on that student loan, however, the interest was still accruing. So that means that by the time I graduated college 4 years later, I had 4 years of interest accruing accruing on tens of thousands of loans that I made no payment towards. Let me paint the picture as to why I'm so hurt about this. These are real numbers. So my freshman year, I took out $24,369,000 just my freshman year in an unsubsidized loan. And the interest rate was 7.9%. So remember, this is an unsubsidized loan, so I didn't make any payments on this particular loan for the entirety of my time in school, which was 4 years. The interest accrued for those 4 years, and it ended up turning into $8,921.71, and that's just the interest on the loan. So even though I signed for $24,369, by the end of my 4 years, I owed $33,424. And again, that's just one loan that I took out, and I took out like 6 unsub loans. So you can imagine all of the other interest that accrued on those loans that I had to start paying when I graduated. When I look back on the history of my loan payments, I made really large payments towards my student loans, and for a really long time, maybe the first year or two, my payments went entirely to interest, and none of it went to the principal, so meaning that principal balance never decreased. For a really long time, it was a little disheartening to see all of my payments go to my interest. In hindsight, I would have loved to be able to pay down the interest of those student loans at least, so that it wasn't accruing to tens of thousands of dollars by the time I graduated, dramatically increasing the amount of money I had to repay. So my next mistake when it comes to my student loans is not tracking how much I owed. So right now I have a wonderful spreadsheet for my student loans, and it has all of my starting balances and my current balances and my interest for each student loan and my payments for each loan, and ultimately my payoff date. And I really love this spreadsheet because it helps me to keep track of everything that I'm paying. It helps me to stay motivated because I can see that beginning balance and that ending balance, and I'm just like, yes. And it's just really great to be able to physically see where I am when it comes to my student loans. However, when I was in school, I had no idea how much I was taking out every year. I had no idea how much interest was accruing on each loan. So I really didn't find out until I calculated everything by the time I graduated. In retrospect, I think that if I knew how much I owed and how long it was going to take me to pay off my student loans and kind of set that expectation for myself, it would have helped me to realign some of the decisions that I made. So the next mistake when it comes to my student loans is taking out more than I needed. Classic. In my college portal, when they offered you student loans, they would typically offer you the maximum amount, and then you can just click accept all, or you can change the amount that you want to something lower. So it was really easy and really tempting, honestly, to just accept the full amount that they offered. And I will admit there were times when I took out a little bit more than I actually needed for school, because I took into account certain things that weren't necessarily directed towards my school fees, sometimes buying groceries, buying clothes, traveling. College is the time to be broke, dusty, raggedy, ragamuffin, whatever you want to call it. So there was no need for me to take out extra money to buy clothes or whatever the case is. In retrospect, I would have taken out exactly what I needed and nothing more. So my next mistake is waiting too long to look at alternatives for repaying my student loans. So I started looking at loan repayment plans by the time I was already up to my ears in debt. And of course, by that time it was too late. A lot of repayment plans have certain requirements. So for example, they will require you to have a degree in a certain field or work in a certain organization. And of course, by the time I'm looking at repayment plans, I have already finished my 4-year degree in my field of choice and have already started working. So there was no way that I could pivot what I was doing in order to fit the requirements of these repayment programs. Looking back at it, I probably would have wanted to look at repayment programs first and then see if my interests and future career goals align with those repayment programs. and try to match up what I'm doing to fit the requirements of the repayment programs. So my next mistake is not looking for scholarships. I just wasn't aware of the plethora of scholarships that you can receive after you're a freshman. And there were so many colleges for sophomores, juniors, seniors, people who are left-handed, people who come from a certain background. So there were so many opportunities to get scholarships even throughout college, and I did not take advantage of that at all. A lot of times, a lot of these scholarships are specifically for people who are more senior in their college career, and I really wish I would have taken the opportunity to apply for more of these scholarships. I wish I would have made it like a class or like a deal with myself saying like, I'm not gonna go to this party until I complete like one scholarship. And my last regret / mistake is not looking into refinancing for my student loan. That's basically the consolidation of your student loans, and the whole premise behind refinancing is that you get a lower interest rate and hopefully you'll be able to save money on the repayment of your student loans. Refinancing is not for everyone. However, it is really worth looking into if you want a lower interest rate on your student loans or if you think it can save you money. So thanks so much for watching this video. If you know someone who's in college or who's going to college and they are planning on taking out student debt, or maybe they've already taken out some student debt, I really ask that you share this video with them and hopefully they won't make some of the mistakes that I made. If you have someone in your life who's going to college or who is in college, I urge you to sit down with them and help them put together a debt repayment plan. I think that alone would have been very, very helpful on my student debt journey. If you have student loans and you have any student loan mistakes or regrets, definitely put them in the comments below so we can all learn from them. If you like videos like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to like, and I will see you all next week.